That's it. And simply let everything cool down, and then you'll stitch that down with a thread set. Isn't that an incredible process? All right, we're gonna bring the studio lights back up. I'm gonna clean off what I have here, and we'll touch on the little bit of hand embroidery that's in the project. Okay, for the hand embroidery portion of this, I think it adds a lot of charm. Looking at the ice skates in particular helps them look more three-dimensional, right? Like they're laced up. So if it's been a while since you've done embroidery, this is really a review for you. Whenever you're going to be embroidering on a darker fabric, I like to use my Sew Line pen. It's not even really a pen. It's more of kind of just almost like a chalk in a way, but it's not smudgy. I love that it has a nice succinct line. I understand where I'll be marking. And this is another great opportunity to use your light box. Again, get in that dark space, get your diagram out, put your background, turn the light on, and draw that where needed. Now on the skates, because they're lighter colored, that's where I like to use a friction pen, the black friction pen. I prefer using any temporary marking tools whenever I can. In case I make a mistake, I need to iron them away. So in this case, I'll be stitching on the black so you can clearly see that. I have my embroidery floss, and I grabbed 2 of the strands of the embroidery floss. There's 6 strands. I just grabbed 2. That gives us a nice, succinct, clear line without being too bulky. If you need any aids for thimbles, Thread Magic, obviously a needle threader, go ahead and grab those things, but let's just dive into it. We'll be covering the back stitch. I have a knot in the end, as you'd expect, and this is the Richard Hemming size 4. A great pack of needles, super affordable just to have on hand, works for a lot of projects. Really nice, versatile needle. So the goal is to come up and to come down directly splitting the line. So I don't use hoops for this, I just go for it. I definitely don't want to use a hoop that I would use perhaps in cross stitch, just because I have a lot of applique shapes, right? And I could potentially kind of create some damage with using a hoop. And I don't see any reason to use a hoop if you historically have used that for embroideries. This is not extensive. So, all right, we come down a little bit further on the line and we split the line with the needle. And we come back toward ourselves. And I've always thought perhaps that's why they do call it a back stitch, is you go down, split the line, and you come back. Trying to go right back down right there. Trying to create as straight of a line as possible versus kind of this little bit of fishing left and right. And you get the idea. It's that simple. And then when you're done, of course, we would continue on. You simply turn this over, and I have my needle very horizontal, so I'm scooting underneath the stitching I just put into the project. And I tie 1 knot, 2 knots every time. Every time. We don't want that coming out. Definitely don't want that to come out, right? We want all of that to stay right in place. And I would just, at that point, go ahead and cut my thread. Now, let's just, while we're here, instead of cutting the thread and starting again, let's say that there's an eye of the bird. Maybe you're doing a project that has berries, whatever that might be. We simply come up. This is the French knot. And I'm just going to have a little bit, if I ever have a little bit of twist, I just drop my needle, let it untwist, and I'm ready to stitch again. So with a French knot, I'll try to keep my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. If you're right-handed, the embroidery floss will go to the left and the needle's in the front. Now I'm going to wrap around this 1 and 2 times, pivot, and go right back down where I came up. Notice I'm holding tension on the left. That's so that I can sneak the needle back through, and I only release that at the very end. And that's how you make a French knot. If you want to make a bigger French knot, you can either add more strands of embroidery floss or do more wraps around the needle. And usually you are doing, if this is a shape of maybe that's the bird's head and that's the eye, you would simply turn this over, knowing you have an applique shape on this side, and you're just scooting that shallow underneath and tying off the same way. That's it. Those are the 2 stitches in this entire project. So once all of your blocks are put together, stitched down, you have added your borders and obviously that fun applique out there, and your quilt is off to the quilter now, right? You've picked your beautiful backing. When that comes back, one of the other things you can look forward to doing is adding the button embellishments. There's actually a lot of buttons in here. It has a lot of fun. That's why we also have the size 10 Richard Hemming, or maybe you have a straw needle at home that you can use. There are some very tiny buttons, and our size 4 did not fit into those tiny buttons. So that's just another pack of needles that you might want to pick up. But resist the temptation, I've made this mistake before, of putting the buttons on and then sending it to the quilter. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just excited. So you get the idea, though, that you don't have to run out and go find buttons. Those will be coming in your finishing kit. But please wait. Keep them in a safe spot. So when your quilt comes back, and after you've put that binding on, you can treat yourself to sewing on some hand buttons with that straw needle, or maybe you've got a needle at home. So I hope I've convinced you that even if you are a beginner, even if you've never done applique before, don't let that slow you down. You can absolutely be successful. We've cut all of these shapes out for you, making the process so fun and easy. So head to the website now. If you are not already part of our Block and Load program, I would love to see you join today. Grab your spot, your backing, your thread set, and any notions you might need.